It's the Growing for Market podcast.
Right now, what we call a plain text email is kind of king or queen, where it looks like it's an email that literally me and you, like a personal email, emailed each other back and forth. It has no pictures, no colors, no design qualities, like just like a literal legit email you would send to a friend or a coworker. Those are getting the highest clicks for my clients, even my e-commerce clients who have products, who are selling products. So, and I think the reason is, A, they feel more personable. They feel like this was written by an actual human being, which people are really craving right now. And B, not putting pictures and not saying everything in the email drives people then to your website where they need to go to actually see the thing that you're talking about, or maybe get more information about the thing that you're talking about. And again, we're just trying to get people onto the website. So those emails are kind of doing the best right now.
Hello, and welcome to the Growing for Market podcast, where we talk about growing, marketing, and the business of growing flowers and vegetables for local markets. I'm Andrew Mefford, your host and the editor of Growing for Market magazine, proudly celebrating 35 years in 2026 as the magazine by and for vegetable and flower market farmers. If you're enjoying the podcast, just wait till you see the magazine. Go to growingformarket.com for more. Also, if you could give us a follow and a rating, it really helps other like-minded people find the podcast. And now, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. If you grow for market, you know performance is everything. That's why so many farmers are turning to Burpee's Farmers Market. Dedicated to professional growers, Burpee is now offering non-GMO seeds in larger quantities, bred and selected for standout flavor, strong yields, and the kind of visual appeal your customers crave. All farmers market varieties are trialed at Burpee's Research Farm in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, where expert horticulturalists test for germination rate, vigor, disease resistance, high yield, and consistency, things that make a difference in the field and to your bottom line. The seed assortment includes USDA certified organic varieties, Burpee bred classics, heirlooms, and exciting new introductions. Burpee's been doing this for 150 years, and they're still creating new varieties with growers like you in mind. You can check out the full lineup at burpee.com/farmersmarket. That's burpee.com/farmersmarket. This episode is brought to you by Tend, the all-in-one AI-powered farm management platform trusted by modern growers. Whether you're growing vegetables, flowers, or fruit, or managing a nursery, greenhouse, or vineyard, you know how much time gets lost in planning, tracking, and staying organized. Tend helps you cut through the busy work so you can focus on growing and selling what matters. With Tend, you can plan your crops, assign and track tasks, manage inventory, and handle your sales and accounting all in one smart, easy-to-use platform. Whether you run a 1-acre farm or manage a large operation, Tend adapts to your scale and style, supporting everything from manual labor to fully mechanized workflows. Try it for free at tend.com. No credit card required. That's TEND.com. Streamline your season and grow with confidence. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Angie Machado to the Growing for Market podcast. Angie is an email marketing expert and doctor, and her email work actually grew out of working with cut flowers. Now, Angie was already on my radar screen because she contributed some guest sessions about email marketing to a social media marketing course that I took. And then I found out about her flower connection because of her guest sessions in Lenny Larkin's Sell Your Flowers Summit. So when I learned Angie is both an email expert and has a flower background, then I really wanted to talk. So without further ado, welcome to the Growing for Market podcast, Angie.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm so excited to be here. Any chance I can get to inspire flower farmers or farmers in general with email marketing, I love to do it.
Yeah, awesome. Because I enjoyed your session. I'll say, if people are curious, I feel like when people say things like, an email marketing course that I took. People always want to know like what course it was. I'll say the course was called Magic Marketing Machine. And yeah, with Jenna
Harding.
Thank you. Yeah, because her profile shows up as Jenna Warner, I think, still on Instagram, but I think
she got married.
Her
She
name
got married a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things. It's like your profile follows you, but that was good. Like, I don't know. I love Jenna. Like, she's a great teacher. I definitely helped me get a little bit more comfortable with making social media posts and stuff like that. So, for whatever it's worth, it's out there. And so it already occurred to me to call you up for a podcast interview just because you obviously knew your stuff about email. And then, so when I saw that you were on Lenny's summit and had a flower background, I was like, you went straight to the top of my list. And so I reached out, and I'm so glad that you were interested in coming on the pod. Cause I think, we try to make this podcast a nice mix of like growing topics and marketing topics and business topics. And I feel like sometimes it's like the business topics that are the hardest to get, because you may have noticed this. Most farmers don't go into farming because they love business,
right?
So I think there's a lot more people who want to talk about like how they grow a dahlia or something like that than like profit and loss or emails and things like that. So I'm really excited to get somebody on to talk about like the business of farming, which I didn't used to think about. Like an email list was something, or marketing emails was something that farmers would need to send, but more and more I think a lot of farmers are, and for reasons we'll probably get to, probably should be. So I think this is a topic that's really ripe for us to explore. So the main focus of the conversation is going to be email, but it sounds like your email work actually grew out of your work with flowers. So can you tell us how you got from flowers to email?
Yeah, so I will say that they kind of grew together, blossomed together at the same time. I started my career in television and pretty much knew within like 3 or 4 years into that I wasn't really passionate about it. And I really wanted a career where I was like excited to do something and also have an impact on the world, not just talking about sports on television. So I quit my television job. And at the same time, I was like, what are the things that I love? And one thing that is a huge passion of mine is writing. And the other thing that was a huge passion of mine was flowers. So pretty much at the same time, I got my first marketing job as I did a part-time flower farming job at a local flower farm called Eddy Farm in Newington, Connecticut. So yeah, it just kind of started from there. And then of course, in the flower farms and helping there, I also would help with their Instagram or our flyers for our markets and things like that. So they just kind of always coincided together. And then it really kind of all came to a head when I got a full-time job as an e-commerce marketing specialist for a local greenhouse, 4-star greenhouse. And so one of the owners of that is a co-owner of Proven Winners. And so I really got to learn a lot about perennials and shrubs, which because of my flower farming background, I didn't really, of course, we grew shrubs and stuff for cut flowers, but that was really fun. And then at the same time, that's when I really started to take hold of their email program and just kind of owned that more than any other marketing channel that I had done at any other job. And we got onto Klaviyo, and that's when I started to realize, hey, I could do this, for other businesses, for businesses like flower farms that I already love serving. And so I started to take clients on the side and eventually went off doing my own thing. So that's what I've been doing now for, I think, 3 years now. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool how it grew organically.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, I kind of skipped over a lot of my flower farming experience. I worked for various flower farms. I was the operations manager of the Michigan Flower Growers Cooperative. So, but yeah, like I said, if you could just imagine them growing and blossoming together, that's what happened. So I'm happy. It all feels kismet, and it was always meant to be that now, even in my own business, I serve so many farmers, and I have the privilege to do so. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool. And as you know, farming or flower farming, vegetable farming, they're a little different than a lot of the other comparably sized small businesses that are out there. And so that's just cool, and probably an advantage you have in working with our audience, in that farming's has a lot of similarities with other small businesses, but some important differences. So I love that you're bringing that perspective.
Yeah, and it is something that we need to be aware of. And even I, working with flower farmers, of course, I know all the marketing practices and what's working and all of this stuff. But, with any business, we have to make it work for your business and your products and the parameters in which you're selling and who you're selling to and all of that. So it's a journey, right? And it's totally okay if that takes time for anyone to really figure that out for themselves. And hopefully, with people like us who kind of can balance the marketing and the farming aspect, we can help that a little bit faster. And that's what I hope to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I'm thinking whether or not if someone's has a small farm out there and maybe isn't yet doing email marketing, and if they may even be thinking like, is my farm big enough to make it, worthwhile, or whether somebody's out there already has an email list and just wants to do it better. I think, that's who this conversation is for.
Absolutely.
Okay, so social media is free. Why should people think about paying? Yeah, because what we're talking about here is using an email platform like what MailChimp, Klaviyo, like you could say all the other ones. So we're talking about somebody paying for an email marketing or delivery service. I don't know if email platform, if that's even the right thing to call it. So if people could email for, advertise for free on social media, why should they consider investing in email marketing?
I would just kind of keep in mind that old saying where you get what you pay for or you get what you don't pay for. So Instagram, really great platform. Yes, you can sell on Instagram. It's going to be harder for you to sell on Instagram because Instagram is really great for top of funnel marketing. It's really, or Facebook or social media. I guess we don't need to just talk about Instagram, YouTube. It's really great to get new people into your world and get new people to know about you and your products. Whereas email marketing, that's middle, bottom of funnel marketing. Maybe I'm, now I'm talking marketing jargon here, but that just means it's a sales channel. So that's the channel in which you are going to get most of your sales, or people are going to most likely buy from you. So the average return on investment for a social media channel is about $2.85 for every $1 that you invest, right?
Okay.
So if you think about your time on social media, what is your time worth? What is an hour of your time worth? Okay, maybe that's $30, right? An hour, right? If you want to pay yourself that, So $30 times 285, we're doing math here. I can't do it in my head. Maybe I should have thought about this and brought up my calculator. 30 times 2.85, so that's $85 for an hour of your time for social media.
Okay.
Whereas the average return on investment for spending that hour in your email marketing channel is $42 for an hour. So 42 times 30, on average, businesses are making $1,260 from spending that time in their email marketing channel. And that's because emails have a higher conversion rate. It's easier for people to see that 98% of people have an email account and they're checking their emails every day, whereas social media is dependent on an algorithm, a random algorithm, and it's really only being shown to 8%, 12% of your followers. So yes, it feels like, okay, this is free, this is easy for me to use, but you will actually see more sales and more of a return on investment of your time and your energy and all of that if you also focus on email marketing. So hopefully that makes the case.
Well, yeah, those numbers are pretty convincing. And so with what you're saying about like top of funnel versus middle of funnel, does that mean Instagram is where you get people to know about you in the first place and maybe get them over to your email list? And then the email list is where you actually seal the deal, sell them something. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So top of funnel, yeah, we're talking about awareness because, right, the first step in anyone buying from you is they just need to know you exist. So email, I can't email, random people that don't know I exist. That's called spam. And we don't want to do that. We want people to come to our email list because they want to be on it. And it's also against the rules and against the email law just to add people to your email list. So that's why, top of funnel. So YouTube, podcasts, anything in which you can get in front of new eyes, bring them into your world. Then the next step, get them onto your email list, because again, you're just more likely, if you send an email, at least from my clients, we send an email, we get, 50 sales. We put up an Instagram post. We're lucky if we get one sale, 2 sale. So we try to use Instagram to funnel to email because we know, that's where people are most likely to buy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And the other thing I always hear about email or versus social media is just that you don't own your social media account, right? Instagram could shut you down tomorrow. So I don't know if and the other thing that the social media platforms, which is important for, I know a lot of farmers show their wares. They may even sell flowers or other things on Instagram, but there's so much going on that platform, right? You're kind of like trying to do whatever you can to get everybody's attention, and they could shut you down. So I don't know if you want to say anything more about that. I just like, that's what people have always told me is like, try to get people from wherever they might be seeing you over to your email list, because Meta could shut you down tomorrow and you don't have access to, like, you might have 50,000 followers, but you like, if they shut you down, you're not interacting with any of them.
Yeah. And funny thing is, Meta shut down my personal Instagram and Facebook account that I had since 2004. And I still do not know why. This was back in 2021. I just woke up one day and it was gone. So they just said like I violated some sort of like community guidelines. It was my personal one. I don't know what I violated. And they don't have customer support. Like, I was so sad. Those are a lot of memories gone.
Yeah.
But imagine that being your business. So that's a really great point. Another reason, absolutely. So yeah, something to think about. Although it doesn't happen as much, but it can happen.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about that strikes some fear in my heart, because we put a fair amount of effort into our Instagram, just like I think a lot of farmers do, right? And so to think that, like, I try to think like, okay, we just follow the rules and we'll be okay. But just the idea that this thing that we've put quite a bit of effort into to try to help promote our business, just like many farmers do with their businesses. Yeah, it's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to tell my clients to keep things simple as much as possible when you're first starting out, and have like one awareness channel and like do your email list. But I think too, as you get bigger, you'll want to, maybe be on YouTube or have a podcast or have a second awareness channel, because that absolutely could happen. So, and again, you still need a top of funnel somehow. So, yep, that's a very real thing, and it is scary. It is what it is. We can't do anything about that stuff.
Yeah, cross our fingers and hope the Meta gods smile upon us. So
I know, right? Ugh.
And now let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. Whether it's tomatoes to market, flowers in the spring, or vegetables for your family, growing in a greenhouse protected from the weather provides the right environment for a harvest you can count on. Rimmel greenhouses are strong, durable, and easy to assemble, offering the quality that you need to grow productively year-round. Rimmel greenhouses are proudly built right here in America and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. With technical sales staff members located across the country, many with growing experience, the Rimmel Greenhouse's team of experts will serve as your trusted partner every step of the way to ensure that you get exceptional value from your greenhouse investment. Visit Rimmel.com to get a quote today.
Hey, it's Lindsay from Grown By. There are a lot of farm sales platforms out there, but there's only one that's cooperatively owned by farmers. And that's Grown By, your all-in-one solution to simplify farm sales. I'm proud and excited to share 2 new features now available on top of the tools you already know and love. Number 1, our customizable CSA box builder. It allows your customers to simply say what they'd like in their share, and Grown By matches their preferences with your weekly harvest. Number 2, our new wholesale-only marketplace. Developed with the Culinary Institute of America, it makes your life easier with a dedicated shop for your wholesale customers. No more texting those chefs, combining retail and wholesale inventories and records, and, drumroll, automatic payments on due dates. No more chasing down late payments. These new features sit alongside our popular online sales and traditional subscription CSA tools, making it easier than ever to manage your farm's business. As you start to get ready for next season, we'd love to hear from you and see if our cooperative can be a partner in growing your farm. Visit us at grownby.com. That's GROWNBY.com.
And now, back to the show. So, in the vein of thinking about things that we have more control over, so let's say people are out there thinking they don't have time for email marketing or don't know what they would email their customers about. Can you give us some ideas of what a farm business might email their customers about? Because obviously we all want to email our customers when we have a special offer, CSA shares go on sale or whatever, but nobody's going to stay subscribed to a list that's just sales emails. So what can farm business owners email their customers about between sales emails?
I think what you really want to do is you want to start getting intimate with your customers and understanding who they are, what type of people they are. I mean, that could be like age range, are they typically moms, or maybe they're an older demographic of people, whoever they are. Understand that intimately. And one thing that you can do is send a survey to your email list, a free Google form survey. And you can ask them, what things are you interested in outside of flowers? What are you doing? Whatever you want to ask them, because you also want to send emails that your subscribers enjoy getting and that they feel like they're getting something out of. They don't want to just feel like they're being sold to all the time. That's why people have such a bad taste in their mouth about emails, because most of the time people are just sending emails that are like, buy my stuff, here's my sale, yada, yada, yada. Which is, that's what emails are really great for, as we're talking about, but you can exhaust your subscribers with too much of that. So you can email your subscribers, anything that's helpful to them. Are they interested in growing their own flowers or vegetables? I'm sure, I'm a gardener, if I'm on a cut flower list, and I enjoy gardening, tell me the easiest flowers to grow that I can just throw in the ground, and don't have to water. So what are the flowers that you're growing? Why are you growing them? Or I guess vegetables too. Shouldn't just talk flowers. Why are you growing them? What have you learned about them? What are the struggles that you're going through in your farm this week? What decisions have you had to make as a business owner that you could tie into a lesson to your subscribers? So honestly, there is a wealth of stories that you can be telling in your emails, stories about you and your farm, as well as helpful tips and tricks and things about your industry that maybe your subscribers don't know, to keep them engaged and keep them reading your emails. Now, that doesn't mean that in those emails you don't sell. You can absolutely, and you should, still sell in them. There's just a whole different vibe when you open an email and it's like, here's my CSA, buy it now, rather than opening an email and I start off saying, last year was so tough. We didn't know if we were going to, sell our CSAs, but we decided to really double down on them because of XYZ. We love what they do. So when you tell a story and you give context and you bring people into your world, and bring them behind the scenes. And then you can end the email if you want to join us on our mission to blah, 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 here's the link to buy. I find that people are more inclined to buy from those type of emails than just here's my stuff.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and, another thing I was thinking about is how so few people have a connection to a farm anymore. It's something like 1%, perhaps even less of the US population that farms anymore. So I realized what our listeners are doing is something that's pretty foreign to the other 99% of the population. And so I'm saying this because I want to make it accessible for people. Like I'm thinking, like I feel like we go out on our farms and see, we see the progression of the seasons and everything, but we're like, yeah, I don't know. In some ways, hopefully the joy is always there, but at the same time, sometimes you're like just looking at your to-do list, like, okay, it's another day in May, but our customers as farmers may have no idea what a spring day on a farm looks like. And so I'm thinking, in addition to trying to sell something, like a flower CSA, vegetable CSA, just like pictures and talking about what's going on the farm might be a news flash, and also a way to tease what's coming. Like dahlias are coming up. We're going to have you could buy your dahlia CSA now. We're going to be picking in 2 months, or like on the veg side of things, maybe like recipes, like talking about what they can do with the things that you're selling to get them to think about using, buying and using those things.
Absolutely. You bring up a really good point that we tend to kind of overlook our everyday life, thinking that the things that we're doing aren't really that special because we're so used to them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, your life is very interesting to people who are not living it. I would say the same thing about mine. I send emails about the funny things that my kids do, or, something that happens while I'm washing the dishes. Sometimes even in the mundane, people can really connect to and enjoy. But especially for farmers, yes, you're right. You are doing very interesting things and people want to know about them. One thing about your subscribers is they love the tea. They want to know what's going on behind the scenes. And if you can bring them in, even when you're just like, hey, I woke up this morning, we started the work day doing XYZ, then we ran into this problem, but then we were so excited because we found out this happened. That's an email that's just entertaining, bringing them into your world. I call that like a nurturing email that you can send anytime, and people would really enjoy reading that. So don't discount. I have like a few exercises that I always do with my clients where we're looking for stories throughout the day, and you write down like the most interesting thing that happened to you today. So maybe right now for me, that would be my son had a really hard time getting dressed this morning. And I could write an email about that. And if I could tie it into like a lesson I learned, that's an email. So it can also be very simple. We don't need to overthink it as much.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, you know what? I thought of something, mentioning you work with your clients. Do you want to talk about what you do with clients, or do you want to save that for the end?
We could talk about it now. It's honestly changed so much, which I think is so normal of a business owner, right? We change our offers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like farms are constantly, like, there's a few people that have been doing the same thing for 50 years, but most farms I know do one thing for a while, and like when that works out, it doesn't work out, the markets change, the weather changes or whatever, they do something else. So I think I think our audience will be very familiar with pivoting and business changes.
Yeah, which is another thing that personally I would email my subscribers about, because they're all business owners. So we can all relate, right? So I was really focused probably last year and 2 years ago on more group programs, courses, consulting, things like that. But in the background of that, I always had clients that I just did their emails or just wrote their launch emails or did their migrations, or, an email audit is something that I do. And I found that the best results that I could get for clients were in like me just servicing them. So I've kind of put aside some of my courses, and I think, learning to be a coach and a course is something that I'm interested in. But right now I actually started a new website, and I officially made myself an email marketing agency. And now I'm just focused on done for you services. So that's just basically writing your emails for you, or doing migrations, as we kind of talked about, or doing email audits where I go into your account and I kind of tell you all the places where you have opportunities or where you have weaknesses. I'm doing one of those right now for a farmer, a vegetable farmer. So yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing right now.
Okay. And not actually a doctor, though. So, folks, before we got on the air, I was asking Angie of what I should call her, an email expert, or I think you threw out doctor. Or oh no, I was asking about email problems that I've been having, and I said I need an email doctor. So, not an actual doctor, but a kid.
Email doctor, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say with my audits, I mean, I basically look in and I find everything that's wrong. And, then I come to you and I'm like, here, but it's fun to me because it's really fun to me to dig into email accounts and look into like the nitty gritty of, are you showing up in the inbox? How is your account set up? Are your integrations working? Like, are you actually set up to make money from your emails? Who are you sending your emails to? And going through everything, like the content that you're sending, right? And how can you improve your content? Or is your strategy right for what you're trying to do? Maybe you should email more. Maybe you should email less. So that's where I guess my doctor hat will come into play with my email audits.
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, I can see how that would be fun and helpful because if somebody asked me about their greenhouse tomatoes or something, I think I could pretty well be like, this is probably what's going on there and these are the things you could do to fix. But our email, I'm pretty sure we're leaving money on the table with our email. I couldn't tell you where. So we can talk about that later because right now I want to talk about emails for direct market farmers. And so since we were talking about how much to sell and not sell, is there a golden ratio of sales emails to other emails, or does it depend on the business? Like basically how do we figure how much to sell to our list?
I think that question it's a little hard to answer because you can have very value-driven emails like we talked about, where you're sending something that's like, here are the 3 must-have vegetables that you need to keep on hand throughout the summer for your recipes. And then you can link your vegetables or your CSA in that value email, and technically you're selling. So technically, if you're doing something like that, where it's not outright buy my stuff, you could sell and link your stuff in every email, and you should. But I would say if you're just sending emails where it's like, here's my CSA, I typically try to send one of those for every 3 value-driven, entertaining type emails. We want to be sending more emails that our subscribers can get something out of, that we're not asking for them to outright buy stuff from us. That's how we keep them opening our emails. So that's the whole point, if we haven't caught on. We want to keep them engaged. We want them to be like, every time I get an email from Andrew, I'm just getting so much value because he's telling me how to grow my vegetables or how to preserve them or how to take care of them, or he's giving me insights into the season, that help me with XYZ. And then because of that, they're going to keep opening your emails. And then when you have something to buy, because they're going to open it, they're going to buy it. So that's what happens with the clients that I serve, that I have where I'm sending their emails. Most of the emails that I'm sending are just really helpful tips and tricks, but we're linking kind of the products throughout the email because it does implore people, if you're, sending them really nice value-packed emails, it does implore them to, let me just see what they got going on. They clicked your website and then all of a sudden they're just like, do I want to buy something? So the whole point of an email is to get someone to your website. That's the only thing that we can control with our email marketing. We can't control people can't buy straight from emails. So getting them to the website is the goal. So you can do that through a nurture, through a sales email. But coming back to your question, I would definitely hold back on emails that are just all about buy my stuff, sell my stuff. But they do have their place. If you are launching something, so say you're launching a CSA and you're doing a big push and you're making it a celebration, well, then, yeah, send those sales emails, get those sales. But I typically do those in maybe a week-long period. So again, then you go back to your normal regular schedule of, let me make sure I'm taking care of my subscribers. We're sending them nice content that helps them, and sprinkling in the sales as we can go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I feel like that's a really good understanding for me, because I think you just shifted my paradigm a little bit, because I always thought of like sales email is like, CSA shares on sale now. And I mean, I feel like that would be a classic sales email.
You can send that.
But you're saying, I feel like what you're saying is that you could say, like, we seeded the carrots today, they'll be available in 3 months. And then, by the way, here's a link to our CSA if you still have CSA shares to sell, or like, here's a link to our farm card. Like, it's just like a softer, instead of like the subject line being buy it, like stick some links and, talk about whatever's relevant to the customer, and you just sneak some links to the products of yours that are relevant to that in there. And then it's not like a big, because I think, yeah, hopefully if people are on our email list, they're interested in what we have to sell. But yeah, I mean, anybody knows if all you get is sales emails, they're probably not going to stick around.
Yeah, you're going to start tuning out. What you're going to be into is, yeah, like you said, if you're getting emails where it's like, man, we're seeding the carrots today, we ran into this problem, or you tell a story about it. So anything that storytelling really keeps people engaged. People want to hear, what's going on. So use that to your advantage. And, I said most of my emails are storytelling emails of what I'm doing in my life. It's kind of very selfish, I feel like, in a way, but I get really high engagement because I'm just like kind of letting people in behind the scenes. They feel like they're connected to me. And then I just sneak in, like at the bottom, I just do like a PS, if you've been wanting to work with me, I've got this many spots available. So get in if you want to get in. And people click that and they check it out. And sometimes, they contact me. So yeah, it's a great way to continue to sell and to continue to keep your products front of mind, which is what we need to be doing as business owners and marketing our products, is keep reminding people that they are here, but in a way where people aren't getting annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And, something you just said made me think, in case people are thinking like, I'm not a writer, or I don't have time to write an email. Like, I've always had the thought that shorter is better. And especially now, like, I don't know, there's just so many messages coming from all sides. Like like there's that quote. I mean, it's not a new idea. There's a quote, I think it's been attributed to Voltaire, but it's also been I think it's also one of those things that a lot of people have said down through history. Is I think it's Voltaire who is supposedly quoted as saying, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have time. Like, I guess the idea being it's easier to just like dump your brain on a page and have like really long.
Yeah.
But I want people to see that as a advantage. Like, they don't have to write a novel every time. Like just a quick, we were seeding carrots this morning. The seeder broke, but we fixed it with a shoelace. And so we're still going to have those carrots for the CSA in 3 months. And by the way, if you want to buy a farm card, like, here's the link. Right. So I just want it, like, in case people are thinking, I'm sure they are, because people running businesses of any kind, especially farmers, are probably very busy most of the time. I wanted to make sure that was the right idea, but like, I'm always like, how can we make it shorter? Like, can we say the same thing just with less words? And so that's sort of an approach we take, and I'm hoping to make that less intimidating for people thinking about, how am I going to write it, like a weekly email or whatever the basis is. It's like, it doesn't have to be a novel. It should be short. I would think it should be as short as possible, because the shorter it is, the more people are going to finish it. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one point I want to make, you're absolutely right. Short emails do really well, and we absolutely want to mix those in. And your emails can be 3 sentences, 4 sentences. I get emails from some email experts that's 1 sentence and then a link to something. And I click on them if it's a really good sentence that it piques my curiosity. So what we want to do, though, is we want to mix it up. So yes, short emails. So you can have an email that's 1 sentence, then you can have an email that's like 2 paragraphs, then have an email that's 1 paragraph. Then if you really feel like writing a long email, write it. So what I find is really mixing it up helps to keep people engaged too. Like that's another thing that keeps people engaged is when you're not doing the same thing all of the time with your emails. So that could also be an email full of pictures of your farm versus a text email. So again, these are different ways where we can keep people engaged, but you're absolutely right. And people don't have a lot of time, especially now. So we do find that when we keep emails short, sweet, to the point, we don't always have time to write long emails. Go for it. Yeah. And I would say if you're like, how does that work? Seth Godin, he's a big marketer. I don't know if you know who that is. If you join his email list, all of his emails are short. All of his emails are like 3-4 sentences. So join other marketers' email lists, see how they're marketing. See how they're formatting things. See the length and what's working for them because they're testing things. So you can guarantee that if it's a good marketer, they're doing stuff on purpose. They're not just like winging it. So that's something that you can try. You can kind of join his list maybe for a couple weeks, just see his emails and then maybe feel inspired and be like, all right, awesome. These don't have to be long if I don't want them to.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I would think that should be the word I would use is freeing. I think that should take some pressure off of people. A relief. Yeah. I want that to be a relief for people. Like you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a long thing, or like you said, it could be a lot of pictures. Like a picture says 1,000 words, right? Maybe you could just throw some pictures in an email, a few, just telling people what you're doing, and that's the farm update for the week.
Just get something out. Most of the time, it's just staying top of mind. Again, to your subscribers, we don't want to just like be emailing, just because. So we want to ride that fine line of, I need to continue to show up because marketing is all about continuing to show up. But how can I do it in a way that works for me, in my ups and downs of being an entrepreneur in the time that I have? So absolutely go for whatever works for you in that moment. So I kind of email by the seat of my pants, which is not what I recommend my clients. I'm like, you should have a plan and which I think is like also good. But I tend to just kind of go with the winds of what I'm feeling that day. And sometimes I feel like writing a nice long letter and sometimes I don't. So emails can be whatever works best for you in that moment. So don't feel like you have to do a certain thing or be a certain way. Actually, if you can just be yourself and you can just be honest with where you're at in the moment as a business owner, that's going to come across more authentic and trustworthy than anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And plus you're an email doctor, so you know the rules, so you know when you can break them. So
there are no rules. Just don't spam.
Right. So, because that actually will, like, if you just take email addresses and throw them on your list, like that could actually get your email account shut down, right? Like it's not just like you shouldn't do it. It's like it could get your account shut down, right?
Oh yeah. Well, first off, you'll just end up in the spam and junk folder and nobody is going to see your emails. And then at that point, there's no point in sending emails because nobody's seeing them. And you're just kind of ruining this huge opportunity for your business to have a dependable sales channel. The idea is to send an email, immediately get sales, get to that point, right? So you don't want to ruin that opportunity by, just setting yourself up to go into spam and junk folders. And then you're right. Yeah. Klaviyo, MailChimp, they're keeping tabs on what you're doing and your reputation in the inbox. And if they flag you, if they think that you are spamming your subscribers, they will shut down your account.
Yep. Okay. So I thought it's good. I think it's good to know and people need to know that. So are there email trends that growers need to know about? And you could say no. I was just like, I don't even know what the trends would be in the email world. So I was like, I should ask this very broad question. Like, how sometimes people are like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, people were doing this and nobody's doing that anymore because they realize people hate it or something like that. Are there any big top level trends in the email world that people should know about?
Right now, what we call a plain text email is kind of king or queen, where it looks like it's an email that literally me and you, like a personal email, emailed each other back and forth. It has no pictures, no colors, no design qualities, like just like a literal legit email you would send to a friend or a coworker. Those are getting the highest clicks for my clients, even my e-commerce clients who have products, who are selling products. So, and I think the reason is A, they feel more personable. They feel like this was written by an actual human being, which people are really craving right now. And B, not putting pictures and not saying everything in the email drives people then to your website where they need to go to actually see the thing that you're talking about, or maybe get more information about the thing that you're talking about. And again, we're just trying to get people onto the website. So those emails are kind of doing the best right now as far as trend goes. And then hyper personalization, which I think can be pretty intimidating for people. So if you're just starting out with emails, maybe not something that you need to worry about. But like for your audience, if you have people on your email list who are local versus people on your email list who are not local, simply identifying who isn't local and who is, and sending like the non-local people should not be hearing about your local markets. To them, like that's like literally junk in their inbox because it's just taking up space. It doesn't pertain to them, right? So they're more likely to unsubscribe if they're getting message about things that they can't even join in on.
Right. Okay.
So thinking about, I would say at the very basic level, thinking about if you have groups of people on your email list that it makes more sense for them to receive an email over another, just starting to be aware of that and giving people a way to identify themselves. There's tags. We don't need to go into all this technical tech stuff, but personalization and sending like the right emails to people that they need to be getting is very trendy. I would say all the time, but even more so now, I would say the bar for personalization is being raised.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I think that's what's called segmentation. Is that okay?
Segmentation. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't want to I'm nervous. I don't want to do too jargony words here, but yep, that would be segments. So segments are different groups of people on your list. That could be wholesale buyers versus, maybe retail customers too, right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because actually, I do know a lot of farmers who may ship product who might have like a I don't know, mail order customer list, and then there's people who are like market customers, and then they might even have another segment for CSA customers. Absolutely. Or something like that. Like, mm-hmm. Are there any obvious segments that you're like, oh, farmers should have those, or is that some ideas there and people can figure out what, like, basically your idea about personalizing emails, so it's like that's through email, that's done with segmentation, right? So it's just like think about who your customers are and how to break them up, and so that people don't get useless emails, so they don't unsubscribe from your list. Yep. So that might, we can put a pin in it there if that's it. But I just wanted to ask, like, if there's any obvious segments that direct market farmers should be building.
I mean, I would definitely have a segment of people that haven't bought from you that are on your email list and people who have. Uh-huh. The people that haven't bought from you need to hear different things about you than the people who have already bought. Mm-hmm. The people who have already bought are 3 times more likely to buy, and they typically spend more. So you want to send them different communication than maybe a new person who maybe they're nervous about where to pick up your stuff, where to pick up the CSA, or how does it work? How do I pay for it? Like, there's objections that people have to buying from you and questions that are going through their head that are stopping them from clicking buy. So you really want to focus for new leads that haven't bought, what are those normal questions that you're getting when people are thinking about buying from you? So the conversations you're having at markets or the questions you're fielding in your customer support email inbox, use that information to send emails to people who haven't bought from you because if one person is asking it, that means multiple people are thinking it and asking it. And most people don't reach out and ask questions. They just exit out and move on with their day. So I would say those segments can also be very fruitful for you to send specific emails to.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I think I have a corollary here from the farmer's market to email, right? Because we used to have a saying that if anybody asked a question at the farmer's market, we would make a sign, right? Because what you just said, if one person has asked you how much something is or what variety this is, there's probably 10 other people who wondered the same thing and just didn't ask. And so I mean, there's a source of email content, right?
You could send one email answering one question. Every week you could send, I'm sure you could figure out a fax email to send to your list. And yes, absolutely. That's content.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What about email frequency? Is there any rule about how often farm businesses should be emailing their customers, or does it depend? I also feel like most of the answers in agriculture end in it depends. It depends on your soil or your climate or all these kinds of things. And so I realize I'm asking you a lot of these broad questions. You're welcome to say it depends, just like it does in farming. But frequency, I thought that's an obvious thing for emails. Like how much should we be emailing the people on our lists?
I mean, you're right in the sense that it does depend. There are going to be some times where we're emailing more than not emailing, and that's okay. I try to tell my clients, first off, consistency matters. So if you're just starting out and you can only muster up the time, space, energy to send an email once a month, do it. Do what you can do. Try to work up to a weekly email send. Even if you're not selling something, even if say it's the winter season and there's not much going on, still try to keep in touch with your subscribers, because once you do have something to sell later in the season or in the year, because you've kept them engaged, maybe because you've brought them along on the journey of starting the season or whatever it was, or buying the seeds and everything that went behind everything, they'll be more likely to buy. Again, it's all about keeping them engaged. And rule number one is just staying consistent and showing up consistently in their inbox.
Yeah. Okay. So a default subject could be what's going on the farm this week or this month.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything if you're working in your business this week, you've got an email story somewhere in that. Like I'm doing this podcast right now, right? I mentioned it in the email that I just sent my list today. So, I just use any little thing that you're doing, and feel free, you can write an email about it. It takes practice. It really does. But the more that you practice and the more that you just give yourself that 20 minutes to sit down and think, what could I write about today? You're going to get better. And then as you're living your life, you're going to be out in the field and you're going to be like, oh, I could write an email about this. It's just going to start to become habit.
Yeah. Of thinking of turning whatever you're doing into email content. So, So, all right, get out there, start doing it. Just send time matter? The MailChimp that we use will even I can send now, I can schedule in the future. It'll say optimize send time. Is it a big deal?
I would say not as big of a deal as people focus on it. If you wanted to ignore it, you could. At the end of the day, what matters is sending good content to your list, because people are opening their email at so many different times throughout the day. Now, you could zone in and be like, all right, if my ideal client is a business owner, I'm probably sending emails throughout the business day, because that's when they're working in their business and possibly opening their business emails. Whereas if it's a retail customer, I might want to send my emails in the evening when they're just like chilling out, they're not at work, and they're just on their phone, doing whatever. But I will say, if somebody is engaged in your email list, enjoys your emails, wants to support your business, they're going to open your email when they see it, no matter if like you sent it at the time that they're on, or if you sent it's been 3-4 hours later, they're going to open it. So it's more so about having a good reputation and sending good content that people want to read whenever your email pops up in their inbox, or if they're scrolling through their inbox and then they notice, oh, Andrew sent me an email yesterday, 2 days ago. I mean, I get email opens and clicks, and I get people replying to my emails from 2 weeks ago. And I'm just like, that's awesome that you went all the way back in your inbox, saw that you had an email from me 2 weeks ago, just read it now and replied to me. Like, that's what I want. I want my subscribers to be that engaged.
Yeah. They're getting caught up on email and getting back to you. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a relief, because usually I just do send now, and I'm like, I can't overthink this, the whole send time. So that's
we're making so many decisions as business owners every day. Don't get hung up on the little stuff that's going to stop you from actually, making some sales or growing your business in some way. Just get it out.
Yeah. Well, that's a relief to know that send time isn't something I have to overthink. Sounds like. So that's good to know.
Same with subject lines. People tend to really overthink subject lines. Like, oh man, I gotta think of a subject line. And yes, it is. There's a lot of pressure. But it's kind of the same thing. If you have a really great reputation, there's going to be some subject lines that get you a higher open rate because it piques curiosity or hits something in some way. But if you have a good reputation, your loyal people are going to open it, whether it's the subject line is curious or hitting or interesting them in some way. They're just going to open it.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have to start with one weird trick too. Or like, one weird trick to get the best dahlias is to subscribe to my Dahlia CSA.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Sometimes my subject lines are like, quick question. Hey, real quick. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something.
Well, that's really, so there's two things less that people have to be obsessing over in their email game. So
yeah,
should be a relief. Well, okay. So as far as getting people to get our emails, what are the best ways to build an email list, whether farmers are starting from scratch or looking to build on a list that they already have?
So the best way, you want to start with, where are you showing up in front of people, right? So if that's at a market, if that's at, on your Instagram, again, we want to think top of funnel, where are people getting to know me and learning about me? And then how do I make it easy for them to come onto my email list? How do I convert them onto my email list once they get to know me or see me? The easiest way is to have an offer, is to give them something in exchange for their email address. So, you see in e-commerce sites that could be a 15% off coupon on your first order. Something easy like that, if that's easy for you to set up. It could also be, here's a free guide on how to do X. It could also be, want to know where the markets that we're showing up each week, get onto our email list. So you can use any reason and test it out. Of course, we don't have to get into testing, but there are going to be things that people are going to be more likely to jump on your email list for, and that you're going to get more signups. You're going to get more signups if you offer like a discount or $1 off. Like, that's just, people are always looking for a bargain, right? You're going to get more signups if you offer some sort of like guide on how to grow like the easiest veggies or something like that.
So like springtime plant sales or something like that. That could be a tie-in. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I have clients at markets that have really great results being like, hey, do you want to join our email list just to get updates? Yeah, sure. And so just asking people. Because I think too, with smaller businesses, especially local businesses, where you are, talking to your local community wants to support you. And an easy way for them to support you and to continue to support you is getting them onto your email list. So typically when you ask them, they're going to say yes. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Okay. Yeah. Because I've seen farmers do that, have a pad of paper at the market and,
Yep.
Just get an email list, email names there. So keep in touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say those are probably your warmest leads. Those are probably people who are most likely to buy from you if you do send them something.
Right, good point. Because if they're in your booth already, they're probably buying from you. And like you said, it's the people who have already bought from you are the most likely to buy from you again. So you want to be emailing those people.
Yeah. And also the people who've had a conversation with you, talked with you, got to know you. People are more likely to buy from people that they feel like they know, that they trust, that they have an invested interest in. So even if you didn't get the sale from them, I think the average person takes like 45 days to buy from like a business that they first meet. So what's great about email is that it really leans into the long-term game, knowing that sometimes people just need to get to know you. And so that's a really easy way for them to continue to get to know you, for you to, again, it's all about showing up constantly, because eventually you're going to send an email, you're going to send them something that's like, oh, that's exactly what I've been looking for. I guess I'll buy now.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Yeah, that email is playing the long game, because I can think of a lot of examples of that in my own life where I had to see an ad 3 or 4 times before.
Yeah.
I don't know if before you buy, I don't know if it just needs to sink in or what, but so I guess email is one way that growers can do that.
Absolutely.
And now let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. This episode is sponsored by Nifty Hoops. Nifty Hoops designs and builds high tunnel systems for growers who want dependable results. What stands out is that Nifty Hoops tunnels are complete systems designed by experienced builders with the details worked out ahead of time. That means the core components are included from the start, like end walls, ventilation, doors, baseboards, and double-layer poly, rather than being added later. The tunnels are designed for real wind and snow loads, efficient assembly, and long service life. You can choose a self-build kit with guidance from written manuals and videos, or a community build where Nifty Hoops works alongside you and the project gets completed in one day. Nifty Hoops has built more than 1,500 hoop houses across the country, including many funded through the NRCS High Tunnel Initiative. They're known nationwide for predictable outcomes and ongoing support. If you're planning a high tunnel project and want it done right, you can learn more at niftyhoops.com. Farmers who partnered with Farmhand grew an average of 63% this year because it's more than software. Farmhand acts as your business coach and assistant, helping you sell out, save time, and grow smarter. From marketing to fulfillment to customer support, Farmhand pulls real data from what's worked and what hasn't for other farms and turns it into websites that convert, campaigns that sell, and fulfillment systems that give you your time back. Curious what that looks like? Meet the founder, Ari, at farmhand.partners/GFM and see the same insights and support the fastest growing farms rely on every week. That's farmhand.partners/GFM. And now back to the show. Are there any email sins that people should avoid, either because it will piss people off or set off red flags for the email platforms? Because as we talked about, there are things that can get people's accounts flagged as spam, but I don't really know what those things would be other than like copying a list. So if that's the main sin, we don't have to belabor this point since we already talked about that. But I want to are there any other are there any other cardinal sins for email?
I mean, it's really interesting because it depends on the email marketer that you're talking to.
Yeah.
There are email marketers out there that will tell you to email your list every day. And I think that's a sin. I'm like, don't do that. Please don't do that.
It's too much for me.
Yeah. Like, it's the whole point that people, need repetition and, to see you 7 times. So if you're emailing them every day, then you're just that much closer to getting, I guess, sales from the people that's going to work on. But for the majority of people, they're just going to unsubscribe. So again, we're talking about the long game. Email is really great about, getting people into your world and then, nurturing them for some time and letting them get to know you. So I wouldn't email every day. I would say the cutoff is, I have a client where we send 3 to 4 emails a week, but because we're sending most value packed emails, people love it. They stay on, we get really great replies. So that's also kind of nuanced as well, because it really depends on the content that you're sending and who you're sending it to, right? But I would say let's stick to 1 to 2 emails a week, and maybe beyond that until you get some help with your emails. Then, if you want to send more, then yeah, I would ask maybe for some help with that.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the only other sin I can think of other than adding people. And then the other thing is, like, don't just send emails that are like, buy my stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A few of those around launch times or like launch for our customer that I would think would be, CSA shares, or like, we have dahlias for the first time. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's got to be a real hook to hang it on, right? Don't just.
Yeah.
So
I say that meaning like every email.
Okay.
That you're
Okay.
sending in like a big picture sense. When you're launching, go for it. It's the same with my clients. If I'm launching, when I launched a course, I'd sent my list an email every day. Overturning objections, again, answering their questions, overturning objections, showing reviews. And because for the most part, I email my list like value-packed content that they really enjoy, they didn't unsubscribe and I told them, I was like, I'm launching this. If you don't want to hear about this product, you can opt out of these emails. Like, that's another thing that you can do, which is really great with email marketing, is you can give people the opportunity to not receive certain emails from you. Now that's, of course, maybe a little bit, again, tech thing, but you could figure out how to do it. If we're business owners, we're savvy. We learn how to do. So that's something else that you can do. If you feel like, I'm going to launch this thing, I don't know if I want to send 3, 4 emails this week. That feels a little too much for me. Well, then just put something in your email that says, hey, if you don't want to, I'm launching this. I'm going to be sending an email every day this week because of this launch. And if you don't want to receive them, here's an opportunity to opt out. People really love transparency.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's just valuable for people to know that they can. I don't know the mechanics. I like to think I could figure it out or get someone to help me figure it out if I needed it. It's good for people to know. Like, I've seen that too on products. And so I guess for our audience, it might be like CSA. Like, you could say these emails are about CSA, and say, if you aren't interested in the CSA, you can opt out of our CSA emails, right? Because that's what that's preventing, is people from unsubscribing from all your emails.
Yeah.
Just get them to unsubscribe from one. Okay, so I think that's all people need to know, that that can be like, I didn't realize that until recently. I started getting those kind of emails from other people, like, if you don't want to hear about this product, hit unsubscribe just from this one. I keep getting their other emails, and so like, I didn't realize that until recently. So I think that there might be other people out there who didn't realize you could do that. So now they know they can do it. If they need it, they can figure it out.
Yeah, YouTube is great. Typically, if the ESP that you're on, like MailChimp or Klaviyo, they'll have help articles. At the very least, contact them if you're struggling with it. Don't be afraid to contact their customer support. I do it all the time. So get some help. I always tell people, don't spend more than 15 minutes on something. If you're getting to the point where you're not figuring it out, don't go down a rabbit hole. Just contact someone.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's actually that's a good idea for life, I think, because sometimes I'll like, you'll be doing something that think is going to be quick, and then 3 hours later.
3 hours later.
Okay, so from now on, when I start troubleshooting something, I'm going to start a 15-minute timer and ask for help so I don't waste the other 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, because there's like for me, I could do it in 5 minutes, So same with the people who are working customer support for your email provider. Like they can just like tell you exactly how to do it. Some like Klaviyo's, sometimes they've got into my account and just did it for me. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
I'll take it.
Yeah. What about getting people to open your emails? Obviously, it doesn't matter how many emails and you send and how great they are if no one's opening them. So do you have any tips for people how to get people to open their emails?
Yeah, I mean, opening email these days, really what we're really talking about. I mean, one factor of it is showing up in the inbox and not in spam or junk folders. So again, if you have people on your list that opted into your emails, and I would say another thing to be aware of is that 26% of, on average, quote unquote, of your list each year is going to naturally unengage, fall off, which could be a significant amount. So what you should also be doing is cleaning your list, meaning getting people off your list who are not engaging.
Yeah.
Because to show up in the inbox and to not show up in spam or junk folders, the way that they're weighing where to put you is based on how your subscribers are engaging with your emails. So if people are opening and clicking your emails for the most part, you're more likely to show up in the inbox. If you have a lot of people on your list who aren't engaging, who aren't clicking, and who haven't in like years, then you're more likely to show up in spam. So I will say, first off, make sure you're just, keeping tabs on your open rates and your engagement, because number one of getting high engagement, high open rates is showing up in the inbox. So you want to make sure you have people on your list who are engaging. And then the second thing with that, again, goes back to, are you sending content that people actually are interested in hearing about? Like, that's the easiest way to get people to open your emails, is to have, again, a good reputation with your subscribers and sending them emails that they're enjoying reading.
Uh-huh. Okay. So content is king or queen. It's just...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like there's no shortcuts kind of answer, I feel like, which is true. It's like you get to if you have good content that people want to open, they'll open it.
And if you don't know what it is, send a survey to your list. Ask people to reply to your email and tell you what they're struggling with. What are you struggling with when it comes to XYZ? Just asking. People love to give their opinion. So be careful what you ask for, but you have access to your audience. If you're ever like, I don't know what to send them, you have them right there. You could also put up an Instagram story or a Facebook story, or any way that you can start getting insights into your audience is only going to benefit you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. You know what? Related to what you just said about weeding people out who aren't active, I wanted to ask, why do bots sign up for my email newsletter? Like, do you even, I don't know is a fair answer, because you appear to be a human. So maybe you don't know why bots, but okay. So this is one thing I'll notice, we have an email list that's growing for market, and I'll see these people that subscribed. It's like someone just like hit the keyboard at hitthekeyboard.com. It's just like these gobbledygook email addresses. And in fact, I think I mentioned we use MailChimp. It seems like MailChimp automatically also weeds them out, because I'll see these accounts that join, and I mean, you can just look at the list and tell. I mean, there may be some that do a better job of it, but there's these just gobbledygook email addresses, and I'll see like they come in and then MailChimp kicks them back out. Mm-hmm. Why? Do you know why are bots signing up for my emails?
I will say, like, I honestly don't know, but my best guess is that people are just trying to flood your list because there are scammers out there who are trying to get a hold of your domain or your like at growingformarket.com, so that they could possibly use it to email people like based off of your email address. And they're also trying to infiltrate your list in some way, which is why we want to, well, we're getting technical again, which is why we want to eventually authenticate our domain with email marketing, and protect ourselves from this type of stuff. But yeah, I would say at the end of the day, like my best guess is that, yeah, they're spammers just trying to weasel their way like into your tech, into your list and, figure out if they can use it to their advantage.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. I just see it and I'm like you. I'm just like, oh, those are a bunch of bots. We need to put a reCAPTCHA on our sign up form, or maybe we should put two-factor, what is it? Or like the two-step subscribe thing. You're seeing that. And then you might want to turn that on for a little bit. So yeah, you want to keep an eye on it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. That's something that's always puzzled me. I was like, why is this even happening? So
I should Google it.
Okay. Are there any common email misunderstandings that you hear often enough from your clients that would be worth dispelling for our audience? And I mean, you can say no, like this whole conversation has been about this kind of stuff, but I'm like, is there anything that you hear like common misconceptions? You know what I mean? Like you start working with like you've worked with enough people, probably you hear probably have similar FAQs, like similar misconceptions. Is there anything that a lot of people don't understand about email that you want to mention?
A lot of times when I start working with people, they don't actually realize how much sales are coming from their emails. I will say that because what I find, most people aren't tracking their sales from emails very well. And so they'll come to me and be like, well, I don't know if my emails make me money, but I know when I send an email, I get some sales the next few days, but I don't know where those come from.
Uh-huh.
And then we start to like set up tracking data, whether that's Google Analytics, or if we get you onto maybe a platform that has an integration with your store, or we set up some sort of integration with your store, and then we start to get the real numbers. And it's like, well, actually, like 50% of your sales are coming from emails. So I would say you should probably email more. So yeah, I think that's one of them. People aren't tracking their sales, so they're not able to make good decisions about their emails. I would say another misconception is, emails are spammy and that people don't want to receive them. So sending I get a lot of people when I say like send a weekly email, they're looking at me like I'm crazy when I'm sitting over here for my clients sending like 3 to 4 emails a week, sorry. Actually, when you send more emails, if they're good emails, then you get higher engagement because you're showing up more and you're becoming more of a presence and you're becoming more familiar and you're sending great content. So we get higher opens and higher clicks, and people think that if you send more emails, like people are not going to like that. So I would say those are kind of 2 big misconceptions. And then, I think another thing that's really hard is balancing the use of social media and email. They both have their place. They're both necessary for your marketing. But I think business owners tend, and including myself, tend to gravitate more towards spending more of our time on social media because it's easier, or maybe it's more fun. I don't know. But in a sense, you're letting revenue leak through the cracks if you're not giving your email the same amount of attention.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's true. For some reason, as a business owner, I feel like the urgency of social media, somehow that's like has a siren song calling to me, like, you should be paying attention to me. And maybe that's just the nature of the beast, but it sounds like we should be paying attention as much, if not more so, to email than social media.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to put the two up against each other or like have them be, because they work best when they're working together, right? You can sell on social media. You can. But it's going to be more fruitful for you if you can get the people who are watching you on your social media onto your email list and they're working together as a team to sell for you in a sense. Because in order to really sell through your email, we need to be growing that list, right? We need to continue to have people coming on to it. And then also, we typically use our clients' social media to nurture even the people on our list because video is so powerful, right? We know that. People hearing you talk, people getting to know you. That's why in-person markets are so powerful. So the same thing with social media. So if you kind of, again, use them together, where sometimes we send emails where it's like, hey, I made this reel, like going over what we did at the farm today. And you just click and send them to watch it. Again, you can assume that most of the people on your email list probably didn't see your social media content because it's only being shown. But it's great nurture content. It's a great way to get people to, more likely to buy from you. So yeah, another instance where we can use both and we can take our emails and we can send people to the content that could also sell to them in other ways.
So are you saying that they could embed a video? Like, let's say somebody shot a reel, like a video that's a minute or less, and let's say they posted it to social media. Like you said, I've always heard even your followers only see something like 10% of what you put out there.
Yeah.
Just because the algorithm and there's so much, like, I don't, I think I used to think like, oh, I posted this so my followers have seen it, and now I realize like, actually a minority of people, there's just so much out there. So are you saying to like embed, like, I mean, this could be a great thing because if you already shot the video, are you saying like, are you saying to embed it in the email or
No, most platforms you can't embed email, but like you can just have a link, a hyperlink, saying this reel, and linking the text to
the URL of the post
video
on social media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that would make the emails huge, right? If they had a minute,
yes.
even a minute of embedded video. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Emails have sizes.
Yeah. That should be great because I know a lot of our farmers are using social media in various formats. I mean, that's such a simple thing, but I hadn't really thought of it.
I mean, that could be something you do every week. Again, like if you're thinking of a weekly email, if you're posting anything on social media, that is, you could, again, we're talking about a 2-sentence email right there. How easy is that, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant because then that lets you get double duty out of, like if anything you're posting, like maybe not every single post, but, you could pick like, the best post or like one that you thought was really great. Link to it and then get double duty out of it.
That did well, too.
Oh, right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So I guess I didn't even have a Facebook account until 10 years ago when I had to get one to become the administrator for GFM. And so like it's been a definite learning curve for me. And so even though I've seen other people do that, say like, here's a link to a social media video I did about that, it just didn't really like sink in until you just said that like I can do that too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the easiest thing to send.
Okay.
And yeah.
Note to self. Got it.
If we could take one piece of content and we could make multiple pieces of content from it, that's gold in marketing, right? That's what we want to be doing. We don't want to have to be recreating the wheel every time. You have a gold mine of content on your social media, even on your website, with your FAQ page, or if people have a blog or whatever. So yeah, feel like you can always use that.
Yeah. Now you're cooking. Okay. That's good. All right, let's talk about platforms. Here at Growing for Market, we use MailChimp, which seems like the most common platform. Might just be the people I've run into, but seems like a lot of people use MailChimp. Okay. And my wife, Anne, who is working for a local cheesemaker this winter, is doing emails for that business, and she's using Klaviyo, and she's really liking it. So that's got me thinking about changing. So whether people are already using an email service or thinking about using one for the first time, what can you say about the different platforms?
Ooh, there is a difference. Absolutely. I don't want to put too much pressure on people because at the end of the day, if you just get on a platform and you email, that's what I want you to be doing. But I will say that your experience in the platform matters, and that how you feel about navigating the platform matters, right? When we're talking about email, we mentioned segments, right? We've mentioned tagging people. We've mentioned all this techie stuff that's part of email that already makes people like, oh, I don't know if I want to take this on, right? But if you're on a platform that really supports you and helps you in that it's easy for you to navigate, you feel like I can figure out how to send a campaign. I can figure out how to create a sign up form. Like this feels easy. Or I have a lot of articles available to me with videos. You know, some platforms really do care about their clients and they're going to do the best they can to give you everything you need, you know, in order to learn how to do all the things you need to do in your emails. So that does matter. So what I tell people is when you're first opening up an email account, typically you can open up one for free on any platform. And so this may sound like, oh, do I really want to do this? But really it could take 10 minutes. Sign up for 2 or 3 different platforms. You could Google, hey, I've got my website here, or I'm using Square at my markets. Take into consideration the things that you're using. What's the top 3 email platforms that maybe I should look into being on? Start a free account on them and then see how you feel inside the account. Does it make sense to you? Is it easy for you to work in? Because like your wife is saying, oh, wow, like Klaviyo, I really enjoy working in Klaviyo. Same. I love Klaviyo because to me, it's intuitive. To me, it makes sense. You know, I'm not wasting 10, 20 minutes figuring out how do I make a landing page? Whereas in MailChimp, sometimes I'll get into MailChimp and I'll be like, where is this? Like, this should be so easy to find, and it's not. So that stuff makes sense. And that time that you're spending figuring out how to do some little things sometimes matters. So you want to be on a platform that you feel like, all right, I feel good working in here and I feel like I can at least figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a cool idea to try 2 or 3. I mean, yeah, you're right. I guess it's a little more work, obviously, than just picking one. But you probably will come out the other side with if you try 3, you will probably have a favorite. Yeah. So like Klaviyo, MailChimp, like if people are going to try 3, like I don't even what is it? Constant Contact.
The other third one typically recommended by email marketers in my industry would be MailerLite. And that's another kind of easier e-commerce platform or email platform to be on.
MailerLite. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, MailerLite.
I don't think I've heard of that one. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as well known, but I do find that I have clients that enjoy being on it. So.
Well, that's why we're asking the email doctor. Say 9 out of 10 email doctors recommend MailChimp, Klaviyo, or MailerLite.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go, folks. So how easy is it to move your email list from one provider over to another if you want to switch providers? I mean, I would think they would make it easy so to get people to switch, but.
Yeah, I think, again, it's that whole, like, it depends. It depends on your whole setup in your current email account, right? Because for some people, if you don't have a lot of stuff set up in your email, meaning you don't have what I call like flows or automations where you're sending emails to people, they're just kind of going out based off of something that they did, whether they joined your list or active on your site or whatever. If you just have like a small list and you've just been sending campaigns and you don't have a lot of information that you need to move from one platform to another, then yeah, it can be pretty simple. But however, on the flip side, if you do have a lot of stuff set up, like Klaviyo, they will assist you in migrating, but only if you have a certain amount of subscribers. I don't know what this threshold is. I've tried to ask them as a partner, like, who do you help and not help? Like, what's the tier? And they kind of like dance around it. So I don't know what it is. But Klaviyo has a Klaviyo Academy where you can watch videos and tutorials. So if you're doing it yourself, again, they're a platform that's really interested in you getting the most out of what they have to offer. So they have tutorials, they have courses that you can get certificates and things like that. So at the end of the day, if they don't assist you, they do give you everything you need in order for you to do it yourself. But again, it kind of depends on the platform that you choose to migrate to. But I will say, if you have more than 5,000 contacts, I would get help, because that's when you can mess it up. Like, I don't want to scare people, but we're talking about not showing up in spam, not showing up in junk, and your reputation. So when you move platforms, you are like a new sender then in like the email filtering world. And so you need to make sure that there's a correct protocol on how to build your reputation in your new platform. And I will say I've come to the rescue too late for some people who tried to do it themselves, and they're like, I'm in spam and my open rates are so low. And I'm just like, we can fix it. It's all fixable, but I would just, have someone help you from the jump, so you don't have to go through all that.
Okay, so you're saying if you want to change platforms and you have more than about 5,000 followers, it's worth getting some help with that.
Yeah.
Okay. What about artificial intelligence? I really haven't used AI much, but I know some platforms are building various AI integrations into the platforms themselves. And then, of course, there's ways, people may have, accounts with the various AI platforms that they might want to do stuff outside of the email platform. But are there aspects of AI that people could or should be using to streamline or make their emails better?
I don't really have a definitive, yes, you should definitely be using this. This can be really helpful for you. You're kind of right in that it's being built as we're speaking about. I mean, bare bones AI that's in your email platform. I mean, the analytics that you're getting in your platform is coming from an artificial intelligence that's taking the information and presenting it to you in a dashboard, or so that you can make decisions, right? So read your analytics. Please read what's going on. Something like if you're open, I know some people aren't really ChatGPT fans, and that's totally fine. If it's something that you're interested in seeing if it can help, I mean, turn off the setting that says share what I put in here to everyone else. There's a setting where you can turn that off, and you can put in your data, and ChatGPT can give you recommendations based on what's going on. It really can't. I'm not going to say that it's my brain and it's as good as me. No way. But it can give you a place to start if you're just doing your own thing. Klaviyo is really working on more AI that identifies segments for you. And so that's something really great about Klaviyo is they can identify, hey, you've got this group of people who aren't engaged. Do you want to send them an email to try to get them engaged, or do you want to kick them off your list? And so they make it easy for you to do that. So that type of AI you can take advantage of inside their platform. But yeah, I would say no definitive, but it's definitely out there, and it's only going to become more. I haven't seen anything that's of course, in the HTML e-commerce world, they want AI to be creating emails, based off prompts and things like that. I mean, I still think that an email coming from you, unfortunately, your time, whether it's 10 minutes of your time, is gonna be more effective and better than an artificial intelligence created email.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know there's a lot happening on that front, and I don't know what's going on, so I felt like I should ask. So, okay.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. There really is. One thing, I just got an email from Klaviyo that said you can now connect your Klaviyo account to ChatGPT. You can connect it to Claude, and you can ask it questions about, your data and what it's seeing, which I think is super powerful for me. I don't know, like for a business owner, it really depends on, how much you want to get in the weeds of your email data.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like a kind of thing. It's like if people like it as a tool, they can use it. And if they don't, they can keep writing emails from their own person brain.
Yes.
Because I see like social media posts and things about just regular farmers who are using ChatGPT or whatever. Some of them will talk about how they're using these tools. And then I think there's a lot of people also who, aren't there yet. And like myself, for example, I haven't really used it. So
I use it to help inspire me, and to get ideas. Like if you're stumped on email ideas, you could go into an AI and be like, hey, like this is what's been going on in my business this week. This is what I ultimately, I'm trying to sell this or whatever, and just speak to it like you would me, say you're trying to get me to get you content ideas. And see what it spits out, and it might inspire you and be like, oh, I could write an email about that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Are you working on cloning yourself to make a email doctor ChatGPT version of your brain so you can?
I do have various custom GPTs that I have created where it's like, this is my launch strategy. Now, like for clients, I'll use it just again to help inspire me. And maybe there's things that I forgot that I like used to do for clients or whatever. So yeah, I do enjoy creating custom GPTs really focused on specific parts of my skills and just to explore and see, if they can help. Sometimes they come out with really great stuff. Sometimes it's crap. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we'll keep working on it. We'll see. I don't know if it's ever going to be a clone of me, but as I grow into an agency, I can't duplicate myself.
Yeah.
So it is a way for me, for my contractors, the people that work for me can kind of tap into my way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But it still involves our human ability to differentiate crap from good.
Absolutely. It's never going to take over that. Yeah, we have to, because it still spits out stuff that just sucks.
So you had mentioned tracking revenue generated by emails, and this doesn't have to be a long answer, but I was interested in that because, of course, like that's important, right? You want to know if your emails are generating income, and I know my wife Annie says that Klaviyo is particularly good at that. So the way it doesn't have to be a huge long answer, hopefully, does that involve integrating your email platform with your store so that your email platform knows what's going on over there? Okay,
Yep.
Okay, so like if you want to say anything about that, I don't want to, like, I realize that's probably a long technical thing, which is like something that people should work with you or work with their provider or something on. I just wanted to like make sure that was right. I mean, go ahead if you want to say anything about tracking, but basically, like, it sounds like people are going to have to integrate their ESP, their email service provider. So I think I picked that acronym up from you.
Sorry.
I wasn't sure what to call, like email platforms. Okay. So people are going to have to integrate their ESPs into their store so that their email knows what's going on with their store to find out if people actually bought something from clicking a link on an email.
Yeah. So the one thing that is a little tough with farmers, you have a lot of options for you on where to sell your goods based on how you're selling them. right? Like, so we're talking about maybe you have an online store through Squarespace, but then you're using Square at the markets. And I don't know, maybe I have another farmer that I'm doing an audit for who's using Local Line to sell some of their stuff, or you have like Rooted Farmers for flowers that are selling you your wholesale. And when you start to really spread out on different platforms what you're selling, it really makes it hard for you to track then your customers and their behavior. It can be hard to track sales coming from your marketing channels, whether that's your email or Instagram or whatever it is, you know, the efforts that you're doing. And it can be really hard to also get that data attached to like your customer profiles.
Yeah.
So that you can go to your repeat customers who bought your CSA last year and say, hey, because again, if they're most likely to buy, then you want to be able to tap into these different groups of people based on their past behavior. So it can get complicated. And it can turn out to be kind of like hard then, you know, because as a business owner, you're farming, you're doing all of the things. And then to also be worried about this tech and integrations and, you know, some people don't have the funds or the skills to really keep that data in line. So I would just be careful about spreading yourself too thin in a digital ecosystem sense. And as much as you can, I would try to choose like where you're selling and streamline it as much as possible. If there are platforms out there that you can do as much as like you could do the wholesale through, that you could do the POS market system through, that you could do the B2C to the customers through, you know, I need to look more into Shopify because Shopify has a lot of options. And I think that's a platform that I think people kind of put, or I see maybe in the farming community is kind of pushed to the wayside. But Shopify it's built for online selling. It's also built for like sellers in general. So they do have their own kind of like market equivalent Square system. So look into, you know, other options where you can keep things in one place. And then, yes, has a direct integration with your email platform, because you're not only going to have more of your information, you're going to sell more if you have something that's just like directly connected to each other. We don't need to get into flows and automations, but one of the biggest revenue drivers of email marketing are flows where you're set, like say someone's on your site and they're browsing your CSA and you automatically, because you have their email address, you automatically send them an email, or they get an automatic email that's like, hey, you're browsing our CSA. Here's the information about the CSA, overturning objections. Those are called flows, and those make money. So in order to be able to have something like that, that's your emails are being sent based on literally what people are doing on your site or in your thing. Like that's where the big gold is with emails. And that's what I see a lot of people missing out on when their platforms are all scattered. So that's like a long, techie. I know you didn't want like a long answer, but I really did want to make this point because it is important. I don't want people to feel overwhelmed, but if you take anything away from it, like just see if you can keep things as simple as possible. In the long term, it's gonna make you more.
Yeah. Okay, well, no, I didn't want it to be short for shortness' sake. I wanted you to feel like if it was a short answer, you didn't have to give a long answer. So, no, that was perfect.
I'm very passionate about this because it is something that I see a lot, and I'm just like, I know it makes it harder for the business owner, and then it's also causing revenue leaks.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, I think just the fact it's important for people to know they can track revenue through emails, and then
Oh yeah.
then it's up to them to figure out how to set it up or work with somebody to set it up. But right, because that's gonna help you justify if you're like, why am I spending all this time on this? It's like you said, people might be making sales they don't even realize are from email, if they're not tracking it. And then I mean, the other part of that is the feedback loop. Is then like it's like you can just, let's say you're already sending emails. If you hook up the integration, you can just keep doing what you're doing for a while, kind of like establish what your baseline, like send an email, get X amount of sales, and then see like, let's make some changes. I don't know. Maybe sometimes you go backward. You make a change worse than before. Then like, okay, go back to what we were doing before, change something else. And I mean, the whole idea is to be able to see how effective your emails are so that you can do even better, right? So the first part of that is just knowing how effective your emails are at selling.
Yeah. I mean, everyone can set up a Google Analytics account, and your Google Analytics, if you set it up like, and connect it to your website, it's going to get email traffic. You're going to be able to see that. So that's like bare bones what people can do, to see. It depends on if you can connect it to your store, but at least you could see the traffic coming from email marketing for sure. But yep, absolutely. Marketing and selling is all about trying different things. You got to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to make mistakes. We're all going to do it. We're all going to make the wrong decision or try something that doesn't work. The important thing is you need to have the data so that it didn't work, or it did work, so that you can repeat it or you can change.
Right.
So we need the data, right?
Right. Because otherwise you're kind of like throwing a message in a bottle. Like,
yeah.
Bye. Hope it does well.
And then you're wasting your precious time. We don't have a lot of time, right? So in order to maximize your time, maximize your efforts, you need to be able to read the results of them.
Yeah, I definitely feel like time is the most valuable commodity, at least to me and probably most business owners. I wish I could clone myself, but
yeah, same.
I'm sure we all do. So
yes.
All right. Well, Angie, so I got one question that left for you that I had prepared. And what I wanted to ask was, if people are doing email, it doesn't seem that effective. Are there any obvious pitfalls that you want to warn people off of?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not working, it doesn't mean that it can't work for you. So there's always a reason, right, why it's not working. And I would say like one thing is that people don't spend enough time in their email accounts and learning about email. And I'm not saying that they have to. I think that's for everyone to decide how much they themselves want to learn about emails and learn what works about emails and learn how they can generate revenue from emails. But if you're not interested in that, I wouldn't just push it to the side and say that, oh, we're just not going to do emails, because it is the number one sales channel, like still, and it's been that way for years. And there's a reason for that. So if it's not working out for you, and like the biggest pitfall I see is people just push it to the side because it's confusing and it feels too hard. And, I totally understand that. It's not always the easiest thing. And especially when it's not working, it feels like, get help. Like whether that's like you did with your social media in taking a course, to learn more about it, or that's having a one-on-one call with someone like me who can just quickly go through your account and be like, oh, this is why. There are people out there who can literally tell you why you're not getting revenue from email. I typically can go into an account and I know in like 10 minutes. So don't push it aside and don't give up on it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think that's very worth saying, because I think, as you know, farmers tend to be very independent, DIY types. So, I mean, certainly a lot, like there's exceptions, but I feel like, like a lot of people who get into farming like to do things for themselves and like rely on themselves. And so it's something that I had to learn. I feel like when we first started, I didn't want to hire anybody to do anything, and try to do the plumbing all myself, to electrician stuff, and miraculously I didn't burn off any of my fingers. But like over the years, I learned it's a smart investment to pay somebody to help you out, because like that, if I hire a plumber or an electrician now, they're going to do the job way faster than I am, and they know how to do it without burning their fingers off. So yeah, just knowing that there's people out there, like emails should be working for you, and there's people out there who can help you with that. It's probably, look at it like a utility. It's a service that should be making you money, and if it's not, or if it's too much of a struggle, get some help. So
yeah, I understand that mindset. I mean, I'm the same in my business. I've figured out how to do everything myself, right? But now it's gotten to a point where I just don't have the time. And so I've hired a virtual assistant, and she's wonderful. And, I'm just paying her a couple $100 per month, but boy, does she save me time, and that makes me money, because then I can spend more time selling, or marketing, or doing the things that actually generate revenue in my business. And so I think that's one thing. Keep that return on investment that we talked about at the beginning of this talk in your head, because emails have a return on investment. For most people, it's not something in which like you're going to lose. You're going to make, that's where your sales are going to be made. So I know it can be scary to get some help. And I'm not like saying you have to spend money on it, whatever it is, your time. It could be your time. Again, we're talking about don't just put it to the side, but there is a return. And time is money. And to me, it's worth it. But I think we all have to come to terms to that delegation as business owners in our own time. We get to that point when we're ready.
Yeah. Well, just that idea that, people should be thinking of email like any other business service.
It's an asset.
Yeah, it's an asset.
That's what they say. They say like your email list is like your biggest, best asset, because that's your warmest leads. It's a direct connection to the people who are most likely to buy from you in your world right now. Yeah. People could throw a farm team member on emails. They could reach out to an email doctor, and hire an intern that is maybe interested in, or that from a college, right? We have so many more options, I think, than we are aware of. And, there might be a college student out there that's interested in learning more about marketing, and that is gonna, have to pay an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah, that could be a good job for someone to do, part-time, or or like if they get their store integrated with their email, then you can look at you can look at the return on those emails and say, am I spending more on the help with the emails, or am I making more on the emails? And then you can see if you're making more on the emails, it's a sound business decision to pay for the help. So
absolutely. Okay. Data will set you free and give you everything you need to make good decisions.
Data. Okay. Well,
data.
All right. Well, Angie, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and that's really what I had for questions for you. But I did want to ask if there's anything else that I should have asked you, or that you'd like to say before we let you go.
I hope I made the case for spending time on emails. I hope I inspired people to send emails. And I would just say, again, really lean on the fact that you can be yourself. Actually, when you are more yourself in your email, when you email people like they are a friend, and like you already know them and they already know you, that's when we see the best results. So put the pressure down. You don't have to be anything you're not. You don't have to be, your emails don't have to be perfect. Don't have to show up a certain way. You don't have to have the best design. You don't even need to have any design. It really can be anything that you want it to be. And the more that you really lean into that, the better results you're going to have.
Yeah, right on. Just be yourself. Actually, that's a really good point. I think I heard that one time of like, don't fall into like corporate email voice, don't like, I think that's almost like a paradigm. We almost like drop into different voices as writers, when you're like, I'm going to send a serious email now, and you have this like serious email tone, and it's like, luckily our audience is mostly not big corporate businesses. I think they're, like you were saying, like the day in the life content is like people. I don't think that people expect their farmer to have a corporate email voice, but I think sometimes I think I've fallen into that trap of feel like need to have like serious email subject line or whatever. Just like you said, just be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself. And you know what? We're getting enough of those corporate emails in our inbox. You can stand out and be different and have engagement by being different, by not being a corporate email. That's what's going to attract people to your emails. But I feel you. Yeah. We all sit down to write an email, and all of a sudden we feel like we need to be this different version of ourselves. And that's why I say it takes practice. It really does. Even for me, I could write emails for other people. It's so easy. But then when I started my own business, I had to go through the same thing my clients go through. And that was good for me, because then it really helped, me be a better leader for my clients. But we all have to kind of find our email voice. And the only way you do that is just by keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Practice.
Okay. Practice makes better.
Yeah, right on. All right. Well, get out there, people. Send your emails so you get better at them over time. And Angie, where can people find you online or social media or wherever you want people to look you up? And if you want to, go ahead and say what particular services you're offering right now too, because at this point, people maybe, I know you talked about a little bit, but I'm not sure if you like gave the full constellation of what you do. So let us know.
If people are like, I don't know what email platform I want to be on, I don't know how to start sending emails, I do have an intro email course called the Email Launchpad that you can buy. I'm just not promoting it right now, but and I don't even have it on my website, so I'm like, I don't even know why I'm talking about it. But it is there.
People are going to want it even more. It's like the secret thing they have to knock 5 times for or whatever. So
Andrew, I just did a whole website redo, like I'm just like every business owner where it's like, I've got a long list of things I need to do, and putting Email Launchpad on my website is one of them. But yeah, the best thing that you could, if you're interested in Email Launchpad, I would say the other best service that I can provide is an email audit for people who have been emailing, who aren't seeing results, who maybe like don't know how to connect to their integrations and, want to understand where their revenue is linking, all that stuff, why emails aren't working, then I would suggest an email audit. But you can find me at my website at etereusemailstudio.com. That's ETEREAS emailstudio.com. And on Instagram, I'm hanging out on Instagram every day. I like to pop up on Instagram stories, talk to people. So feel free, you can DM me on there at Angie Machado _. So I'm sure if you type in my name, because I do have a lot of farmers who are following me, I'm sure I'll pop up.
Yeah.
Somehow.
They'll find you. Okay.
Yeah, they'll find me.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go, people. That's what you need to know. Angie, you're awesome. I've really enjoyed this conversation so much.
Thanks.
It's,
me too.
Given me some things to think about for growing for market, but also I think it's given people a lot to think about for their farm businesses too. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us. I think it'll be helpful.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've also loved the conversation, and I really hope people got some inspiration and motivation to to send those emails. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. I think they did. I certainly feel a little like reinvigorated for my whole email. So, all right, folks, you heard Angie. Send those emails. You'll get better. And thank you. I really appreciate it, Angie.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Growing for Market podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, please consider giving us a follow and a rating or a review. It really helps others find the podcast. For more tips and tricks from farmer to farmer, check out our magazine at growingformarket.com. Whether you're a commercial grower or just want to grow like one, subscribe to Growing for Market magazine for the nitty-gritty of growing, marketing, and the business of market farming. We publish 10 issues per year with articles written by experienced farmers on topics ranging from tools and techniques to farm business operations and marketing. If you've been listening to the Growing for Market podcast and haven't yet checked out Growing for Market magazine, we've made a change so you can try the magazine for free. We've added a free month to the beginning of all first-time subscriptions. Try out the digital or paper magazine for a month, and if it's not for you, cancel within 28 days and you'll never even get billed. All subscriptions get you a year of the magazine, plus 150 downloadable back issues from the last 15 years, and over 1,700 archived articles. With digital subscriptions starting at just $39 a year, head on over to growingformarket.com and subscribe today to benefit from over 3 decades of writing by farmers, for farmers, in Growing for Market magazine.